Okay, so today we're going to be talking about a very fun subject, which is why did Odin, Vili, and Ve have to do battle and kill the giant known as Ymir? So I played the flute in the beginning because somebody had said, why don't you put your flute on in the beginning? So there you go. Now I put some flute on in the beginning. Odin, Vili, and Ve. So I got to thinking about this because somebody responded to one of my videos a while ago, and it was one of my rune shamanism videos, and saying that they didn't think that it was likely that, or that it was iffy that there are 9 aspects to the human personality and blah blah blah. So it got me thinking about the number 3 and the number 9, and it and I went all the way back to the thought about Odin, Vili, and Ve. Odin, Vili, and Ve is the foundation for the Christian Trinity. I don't know if you know that or not, but the Christian Trinity, God the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, does not exist in that form in the New Testament, or nor does it exist anywhere in the Old Testament. And so this idea of the Trinity is so foundational for pre-Christian, not only Europeans, but this is also true in Hinduism, in Vedic religion, also in Taoist religion, and I'm sure in many others that I don't have enough expertise in to even comment on, but you find that everywhere. The Taoist tradition says that from emptiness came one, and from one came two, and from two came three, and from three came five, and from five came infinity. And the 3 is called the 3 ones, the 3 pure ones. And they are seen as the highest deities, the 3 pure ones. And Norse mythology is no different. So we need to be talking about, the thing is, if you want to read it in Taoist mythology, it's very mathematical sounding. It's very logical. From nothing came the one, from the one came the two, meaning the yin and the yang. From the yin and the yang came the 3, which are the 3 pure ones, which each one of us has 3 within us as well. And then from the 3 came the 5 elements. In Chinese, it's wood, metal, fire, water, and earth. But you may know it as ether, air, fire, water, and earth. Same 5 elements, just a couple of them are different symbols. And in the Norse mythology, you have Odin, Vili, and Ve doing battle against Ymir. What is Ymir? Ymir is known as the frost giant, from which all of the other frost giants are formed. And so, modern people, especially modern neo-heathens, I'm sorry to say, they don't really understand. They look at things too superficial. And when you go online looking for pictures, like I went looking for pictures of Ymir, and I found this one, which is actually really cool. I mean, you can't see it, but it's actually that's the top of a mountain, and you go all the way down, and you can see his body. And that's because Ymir represents the undifferentiated stuff of the universe. We could even call it the life force energy of the universe. And he's called a frost giant. Now, why is he called a frost giant? Well, frost comes from Niflheim. Niflheim in the north, the direction for Niflheim is the north, and Niflheim is the source of undifferentiated potential. And it is the source of the waters. It is the source of the waters of life, but if you go as a human being in your manifested form, if you were to go to Niflheim and drink the waters, it would be poisonous. It would kill you. That's not because it's evil, it's because it is pure potential. So the idea of water and ice, I mean, you think about ice, ice in Northern European understanding, especially thousands of years ago. Because bear in mind that the Northern European mythology comes out of a root mythology which we would call Indo-European. Bear in mind the Indo-European people did not sprout up out of the ground. This is one thing that drives me crazy about people who, want to talk about the origin of the Indo-European, language. Like they say, somehow 7,000 years ago, somewhere in the plains of, Eurasia, this language came from somewhere, and it doesn't make any sense. So, the Indo-European language was brought into Europe 50,000 years ago. And the Indo-European people who spoke Indo-European and had an Indo-European based religion, they spread all over Europe and Eurasia. And then the Ice Ages came in. And then for 40,000 years, the Indo-European people were blocked off from each other by huge, mile-high blocks of ice. And over tens of thousands of years, their language started to shift slightly. I mean, you look at it, linguists can see that it's the same language. They can't understand each other anymore, but it's the same language. Same thing with the religion. It's the same religion, whether it's Celtic religion or whether it's Germanic religion or whether it's Vedic religion. It's the same religion, especially when you start looking at the root of the words of the gods. It's the same religion. It just gets modified slightly over thousands of years. So the Germanic people, the people who became the Germanic people, were Indo-European people who were stuck in northeastern Europe, pretty much right around the area of Denmark, for tens of thousands of years. So they lived in Ice Age conditions. So ice was all around them all the time. And the ice that melted created the rivers, which fed life to the plants, which gave life to the animals, which they hunted. So ice was the waters of life, but too much ice will destroy you, obviously. So this is where this is coming from. So Ymir is a frost giant who comes out of, in their mind, the symbolism of ice represents the potential, the pure unmanifested potential, which will then create all life, because that's what happened. When the ice melts, then the plants start to sprout up, and then the deer come in and eat the plants, and then you get to, shoot the deer and blah, blah, blah. So this is what ice represents. So it's nothing evil about it. So Ymir is an ice giant. Out of the block of ice comes Ymir. And Ymir is, in fact, the pure potential of life force energy, because he himself is both masculine and feminine. The word Ymir comes from yemos, which means twin, but it doesn't mean twin in the sense of two of the same. It means male and female twin, because his feet, male and female, mated with each other. This is all in the mythology. If you know how to read the mythology, it'll make sense. It's the same thing that the Taoists say. From nothing comes the one, which would be the ice, comes the two, which would be Ymir's male and female, his 2 feet mating with each other, creating more giants. Comes the 3, Odin, Vili, and Ve. So Odin, Vili, and Ve do battle with Ymir, the ice giant, and they kill him, quote unquote. And with his body, they create the heavens, They create the mountains. They create the forests. They create the oceans out of his blood. They create the earth out of his bones. And this is all symbolic of something we need to understand. It's not this idea that Odin, Vili, and Ve were righteously going and attacking some evil force and destroying it. It's not what this means. I talk about the Taoist mythological tradition, and for me, it's very mathematical. It's very scientific. It's very straightforward. A plus B equals C. They don't. But the European tradition is very poetic. So in order to explain it, they create this poetic imagery surrounding it. And so it becomes exciting. And so warfare is that. Odin, Vili, and Ve go to war and they tear his body to pieces. And with his body, they create the earth. But you don't hear about Odin, Vili, and Ve after that myth. Not that I'm aware of. After that, we just talk about Odin. He who is consumed with the fire of self-awareness. Woden. Wodanaj is his original name. And Woden, the en suffix, means composed of. Wod means the fury of shamanic self-awareness. Woden is self-awareness. And it is Wod within you that allows you to become self-aware. And so within you, you have Odin, Vili, and Ve, which the Chinese would call heaven, earth, and man, which the Hindus would call Shiva, Brahma, and Vishnu. In fact, Vishnu and Ve come from the same root word, which means divine space, which is why in the Germanic ancient tradition, the temple was called the Ve. It was the sacred space within which you went to worship the gods, which is why you were not allowed to bring weapons into the Ve. That's like putting a knife into your heart. Your heart is the Ve. Village comes from the same root word as well. Village. It means safe space for life to grow. So Odin, Vili, and Ve is Woden. Woden is composed of these three elements. So why do we talk about it in the myth of destroying the giant YMIR and creating the world? Why do we talk about Odin, Vili, and Ve? Because we have to look at what these are. Woden, that which is composed of self-awareness, shamanic, ecstatic self-awareness. Vili, simple willpower. Vili is just the Old Norse of will. Vili, will. It's the same word. It means willpower. Ve means sacred spiritual space. So it means the spirit. It means the soul. Within you, you have Odin, Vili, and Ve. And within you, it is Odin, Vili, and Ve that actually constructs your universe out of the ambient life force energy around you. The idea that there's a past and a future is an illusion. The past is something that you remember. And in fact, every experience you have, like right now in my experience, I'm looking at a computer screen. There's a picture of some surfers on the wall here, some surfer girls from 1960 something or other, in this little surf cabin that I'm at. That's what, in my mind, the reality that my Odin, Vili, and Ve create. It's happening every moment. Even science will tell you that your perception is that you are actually just remembering. The act of remembering what happened a nanosecond ago is your experience of seeing and experience the present moment. It's actually constructing. It's taking a bunch of information and constructing. I mean, think about what you think reality is. Think about it. Your idea of reality is nothing more than light bouncing off of mass. Color. I mean, I'm looking at this desk, which I see as the color of wood. But that's just the way the light bounces off, and that's the only wavelengths that my eyes can see. So it creates that and says it's actually, just this wooden color. But it's not. I mean, I can't see the heat coming off of my hands because it's not super cold. There's so many things you can't see. You construct a reality that you think is reality, but it's all an illusion. So you need the perception of self-awareness. You need willpower. So Villi creates is the part of us that is willpower, what we choose. You choose to be alive at every single moment that you're alive. That is your choice to be alive. It's also your choice to be miserable. It's your choice to be sick. There's a guy out here locally that I know, and I should probably get to know him more and learn from him. But this is a guy who who suddenly, after years of living healthily, suddenly got cirrhosis of the liver, I think cancer of the liver, and became diabetic. And so the doctors were saying he was going to die. And so he just accepted that he was going to die, and then he started getting the most out of his life, living every day the way that they say, just appreciating everything and doing, following his spiritual program. And now he's healthy as a horse. And as I understand it, he has none of those things going on anymore. He doesn't have cancer or cirrhosis of the liver or diabetes. It's because he chose. He put his willpower not towards trying to heal himself, but just by living and appreciating every single moment and living and serving others and living for his soul, and his body healed itself. That's the power of Villi. And then there's Ve. Ve is the soul. Ve is the experience. In the three selves, the third eye, the navel, and the heart center, the soul is the one that experiences. It watches and experiences life. Villi, your navel center, is where your power of, that's why somebody says a lot of guts. That guy's got a lot of guts. He's got a lot of willpower to make choices. A lot of bravery. Choices. It is these three things, these three aspects of our perception that tear apart and differentiate the ambient life force energy and creates this 3 dimension that we live in. Obviously, even science says there are 9 dimensions. Our ancestors knew there were 9 dimensions in the tree of life. Science says there's 9 dimensions. They have a different kind of idea about it that I don't understand, but they come to the same conclusion. We experience 3 dimensions because we are 3-dimensional. We are Odin, Villi, and Ve. So I got to thinking about that because, the back and forth, what happens is people who, probably almost certainly haven't read my books, have not watched my videos. Not that you need to. I'm just one person. I don't care if you do or not. I don't have an ego about that. But what I'm saying is that people just sort of land on my channel. They see one video and then they type out, they pull something out of their ass. And say, the nature of the soul is, I don't want to get specific on what this guy said because I'm not trying to bag on this guy, but he did that. He pulled something out of his ass and he said, the nature of the soul is, and I said, where did you get that? Well, I don't know where I got it. I think I heard somebody say it. So because you think you heard somebody say it, that's good enough for you? I said something. Why do you need to attack what I said? But it's okay to take what the other guy said. It's again, when I'm looking for all the pictures of YMIR, I find these pictures of this big giant ice giant with horns, and he's got a club, and he's evil, and Odin, Villi, and Ve are going out to attack the evil. It's the people looking at things so superficially, not even trying to look underneath what's going on. This is why I have such a hard time with neo-pagans and neo-heathens. They in my experience, for the most part, they just don't. I remember a while ago somebody came onto the channel, it was about Loki, and he said something about, no, Loki just likes to cause chaos because he thinks it's fun. And I'm like, really? Did you bother reading the myths about Loki? That's all Loki is? He just causes chaos just for fun? Then how is it that everything that Loki does involves all of the gods evolving to their highest potential? Where did Thor get his hammer? Loki. Where did Odin get his horse? Loki. The gods get their powers because Loki's mischief actually creates things that will bring them their powers. So Loki isn't just mischievous because he thinks it's cute and fun. And that just tells me again, just people looking at things superficially. It annoys me. Now, this is my job. I'm wired to do this. Not everybody's, they got their own wiring. People are wired, speaking of wire, some people are wired to be electricians, and some people are wired to be doctors, and I'm not wired for any of those things. The sight of blood makes me cringe. But this is what I do, so it's not their fault. It's my job to come and here's the thing again about being annoyed. This is why I always say to people, if what I say is pissing you off and what I say is wrong, then don't waste your time arguing with me. Go create your own channel, create your own videos, write your own books, get it out there. If something somebody is doing, whether it be a musician, an actor, a politician, a mystic, a philosopher, if you think they're full of crap and they're pissing you off, it means that you're supposed to be doing what they're doing. I was a stand-up comedian for a while, and that's because I went to a comedy club, and all I could do was bag on the comedians, famous comedians, and how bad they were. And I stopped myself and I said, hang on, you put your money where your mouth is. Before you spend your time saying how bad these comedians are, why don't you go do it? And then I did. And I could have had a career at that, and I sabotaged that because it's not really what I wanted to do anyway. So, Odin, Villi, and Ve, you create your three-dimensional existence every single nanosecond. You are killing YMIR every single nanosecond, taking the unmanifested pure potential of the energy of the universe, and you are creating it in 3 dimensions with your 3 selves, your higher self, your lower self, and your middle self. With your Woden, with your willpower, with your soul spirit. You experience things with your soul. You become self-aware, and you have willpower. You choose to create your reality. This is why Odin is the highest god. He's not the highest god because there's a competition. He's the highest god because he represents what humans are doing every moment. They do the same thing that Odin did. Create the 3-dimensional reality with the 3 aspects of your own self, just like Odin does. Okay, so those are just some thoughts I had about Odin, Villi, and Ve. Hit the subscribe and the bell button. These links are here for a reason. neo.thunderwizard.com are the 4 tools that you need, in my experience, to live the ultimate life, to be able to be a god on earth, which is nothing more than being able to simply intend your reality. That's it. Decide what your reality is and intend it. That you'll find at neo.thunderwizard.com. Courses.thunderwizard.com. All of my books. You know, a lot of people would save themselves a lot of grief if they actually read the books that I write instead of just commenting on a couple of videos, and then I get, I get a burr up my ass, and I start, tearing them apart for not knowing what the hell they're talking about. You can avoid that by going and reading my books, courses.thunderwizard.com, all of my video courses, and as well as the astrology and the rune readings and all of my other services available there. All right, so I just felt like talking about that, so there you go. All right, I shall see you guys later.